Now, let's shift to continent. Let's go to Europe. What are the challenges flying throughout Europe? Because people tend to think maybe Europe's safe, staying in hotels and airports and things and that. What recommendations would you give people that are traveling throughout Europe? Because we do see a lot of rising terrorism in Europe. There's a lot of unrest going on. So it's not as safe as it used to be like 25, 30 years ago.
Yeah. I think it's common sense rules apply. I mean, we mentioned crews staying over in hostile parts of the world. You can stay over in London or Paris and New York, and if you don't let common sense rule apply, and you go to the wrong part of town to do something silly, you can get in trouble.
Yeah,
it's very easy to get into trouble with that, so you need to be careful. So it's the same common sense. We've actually issued a document about the golden rules of personal security and how to keep yourself safe in a myriad of situations. And also, part 2 of that advice is, if you do find yourself in a sticky situation, how to behave to make sure you come out in one piece.
Yeah.
But again, you need to stay in a nice hotel in a nice part of town. You don't want to venture into dangerous areas. If you are going somewhere, go in pairs. Tell people where you're going. Have some kind of check-in procedure. I'm going there if I'm not back by this time. Have a procedure that you can escalate.
So with crew then, because obviously this is another aspect which is important, because there's some high net worth individuals that don't want their crew to stay at a nice hotel. They'll stick them in a 3-star hotel because they don't want to spend the money. And I always think this is a bit ridiculous. You spent 50 million on the jet, now you're trying to go cheap on the crew. But no, understanding that your crew need to be safe. And as I always tell people, I'm not selling you a jet, I'm selling you time. So time is not just the jet, it's also the maintenance and the pilots and the rest of the crew. So that airplane, in order to leave on time and be available 24/7, the crew need to be available 24/7. If the captain's being bashed on the head in a dark alley in Barcelona, what's the point?
And that's the point to make to the client. Your £50 million jet doesn't fly without these guys.
Yeah, exactly.
So you need to look after them. They're an absolutely intrinsic, mission-critical part of your team.
Yeah, I mean, I always tell people, I say, for example, never have your crew fly in uniform. So when they turn up to the hotel, they're dressed normally like everybody else. Because if they're dressed in uniform, they're immediately seen as a target. And we both know that there are people that hang around hotel lobbies waiting for guests to come in to see who they're going to mug next.
Yeah, every good hotel lobby in the world has got a spotter in there who will be chatting on his telephone, and he'll be saying, the guy with the dark shirts, black, white, stripy tie, he's got a little aircraft on his left lapel. Yeah, go for him. He looks like a good target.
Yeah, so I make sure I take this off.
I would take that off. That's and other things as well. I mean, again, these are common sense rules. If you're going to go to strange countries, yes, it's nice to have a £10,000 watch, but have a £100 watch for where you're going. Don't look too rich. Don't look too well off. Don't look too flashy.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, because I was staying in Sao Paulo, the Hyatt downtown, a few years ago at the Labes Air Show, and I was going out downtown to sort of adventure around, and the guy at the desk said, "I'd take that watch off if I were you. Put it in your safe in the room because you'll get mugged." So I was like, "Okay, fine." So I went back upstairs, put my watch away.
There's one guy I deal with. He is the CEO of a family office based here in London, and his principals go all over in private jets, but sometimes they go first class. And he refuses to fly first class with them. He'll sit in the back in his jeans, T-shirts and running shoes. Yeah. I'm not mixing with these guys because he wants to be as invisible as possible and blend in.
Yeah. So what advice would you give to crew that are staying in a hotel on a layover? What things should they do and not do when they're staying in the hotel?
Okay. If they're going to leave the hotel, check that it's safe to do so. Yeah. See if the hotel can organise someone to go with them to guide them, and then that links the hotel to it and gives them a responsibility. Yeah. If they are leaving the hotel, have an idea, have a check-in plan. Have a check-in plan, so the phone up every 2 hours. Oh, we're looking at a wonderful piece of architecture here. Oh, we're looking wonderful. Have some stress codes, some keywords that tell you, Fabrizio, all is not well.
So the crew need to keep communicating with each other. We'll possibly stay together. If they want to wander off, don't wander off on your own. Have somebody with you.
Don't wander off on your own. Wander off in pairs as a minimum.
Yeah.
Keep checking in and have a stress code that tells you something is not right.
Yeah.
For example, one I know, one client uses in their office is if anyone asks you for blue scissors, or if blue scissors comes into the conversation, that means all is not well. All is not well.
Yeah.
Another one is, have you got the key for the stationery store?
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, look, Fabrizio, just give me a stress code here. All is not well.
Yeah.
And if you want to take it to the next level, it's very easy. You can buy tracking devices.
Yeah.
That are, a quarter of the size of a packet of cigarettes that you can slip in your pocket, or, the size of a credit card, but maybe
put in your shoe or something. Yeah.
Yeah, and just put it in the jacket pocket.
Yeah.
And your friends can track you on your telephone to make sure that all is well.
Yeah.
And you can buy these dirt cheap on the internet, under £100.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Also, advice I was given: when you leave your hotel room, put the TV on, put the volume slightly up, and put the "Do Not Disturb" sign outside the door, so people think you're in the room.
I always do that. I absolutely always do that, and my wife does one as well. Which, there's a certain type of carrier bag that is very noisy when you crumple it.
Yeah.
She always puts her purse and her credit cards and her jewelry inside that carrier bag, inside her handbag.
That's
so
interesting.
if anyone does get their hand into her handbag, there's such a noise and a commotion.
Yeah.
Because of the noisy carrier bag. So it's little things like this.
Okay. What about self-defense? Would you suggest someone that's buying a private jet that they have their crew trained in self-defense, something like Krav Maga, which is all-round a good self-defense system, which not only teaches you how to punch someone, but also how to look out and be aware of what's going on around you?
Okay. My advice would be personal security awareness training is far more valuable.
Yeah.
If you are trained what to watch for and how to react in certain situations, that buys you the extra couple of seconds that keeps you safe as opposed to getting you into trouble.
Mm-hmm.
So personal security awareness, right, there's something not right there. I'm going to cross the road just in case. Mm-hmm. I don't like those guys stood next to that dark alley. I'm going to cross the road here. Mm-hmm. Stopping in a shop window and looking at the reflection in the window to see if there is someone behind you watching you. Mm-hmm. One very good one that everyone can do now, use your mobile telephone.
Yeah.
Put it on to reverse the camera as if you're doing a selfie.
Yeah.
And that gives you a rear view mirror to look behind you.
Yeah.
And people think you're looking at your telephone.
Yeah.
So I would say personal security awareness training is far more valuable.
Yeah.
And then before martial arts and Krav Maga, I would say buy a pair of running shoes, because if you see trouble, you want to run away. You don't want to confront it.
Yeah, that's what I did when I was on a layover in certain locations. I would always go out in my tracksuit and running shoes, because I mean I'm a black belt in Taekwondo, and if I have baggy trousers, I can kick it a lot easier. But also, if I've got my running shoes on, I can leg it.
And my advice would always be leg it, run it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, even if you're Bruce Lee, you still want to leg it.
Run away and tell the story another day, because if you end up at blows with anyone, everyone's failed at that point. Yeah. The best thing you can do is, first of all, spot any threats and avoid them. Yeah. Secondly, if it gets close, run away from it. Mm-hmm. We work with families and with their children, and we give them advice. Look, if you're scared, walk into a shop and tell someone in the shop, I'm scared. Call the police, there's someone behind me. Slightly different overseas. Yeah. Another thing you can do, and you might upset the shopkeeper, walk into the shop, drop the latch on the front door if it's a little corner shop, go straight through the back and out the emergency to the fire exit. Yeah. Always got a fire exit. Now, you can always go back the next day and apologise, but that 10, 15 seconds whilst the owner's trying to open the door and the intruder is trying to get in, you've bought 10, 15 seconds and you're away. Yeah. You can always apologise the next day. But confronting the threat absolute last resort.
Yeah, which is what they show you you need to do in movies, but don't follow the movies, follow Bob.
I wouldn't follow the movies. I mean, the great cinema. There was a great program on BBC a few months ago called The Bodyguard.
Okay.
And it was great television, and everyone loved it. And a number of people who said to me, "Is it really like that?" No, it's not like that.
Yeah.
The only thing they did portray very well was the very long periods of boredom, whilst the bodyguard is standing outside an office whilst the principal has the meeting, or they're sat outside whilst the principal's having dinner in a restaurant, or whatever. It portrayed the long periods of boredom very well, but everything else was not. It's a bit like Jodie Foster's Panic Room. Mm-hmm. You need a panic room for 30, 45 minutes tops, not 3 days. That's not how it works.
Yeah.
So 2 great films, but not based on the true story.
Yeah. So going back to Europe, so you just say, do some research on the city you're going to, make sure you go out in pairs. Are there certain more dangerous areas than others in different countries around Europe? I mean, which would be the countries to be more careful in around Europe right now?
There is nowhere with a significant greater threat than anywhere else.
Yeah.
I mean, you get London, Paris, Rome, Barcelona. The biggest threat there is pickpocketing.
Okay.
You've got the teams who actually, they do a day there, then fly to the next city, and they go around, and they're very good at it, and they play cat and mouse with all the police. Mm-hmm. But pickpocketing is the real threat.
Okay.
When we're talking of threats of violence against the person, that could be any city in the world. And if you go to the wrong part of town, down a dark alley, do you know what? You're asking for trouble.
Yeah.
So, if you're drinking in a pub and it's £2 a pint, guess what? You're in a pretty rough part of town.
Yeah.
So, I wouldn't like to point out any city as being particularly dangerous.
Yeah, if you apply these rules you've just mentioned, that you're pretty much going to be safe anywhere.
Common sense rules. Go out, a couple of you, tell people where you're going. Don't go to the dodgy part of town. And take a taxi home. If someone has been out and they've had a few beers and they're a little bit wobbly, that's always a good target for a mugger.
Yeah.
Take a taxi home, because then all you've got to do is get into the taxi from wherever you've been, and that takes you to your hotel door, where the commissioner is there ready to greet you in.
That makes sense. Okay. Thank you very much, Bob. That's been very, very interesting.
Thank you.
Anything else you'd like to add before we close?
No, just that private jets, we work with a lot of them. I think they're great for a lot of reasons, in that airports have always got paparazzi. So people flying to and from can always get picked up coming through customs at an airport. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of privacy to be had with private jets. Mm-hmm. And a lot of deal makers like the private jets, because they don't want people asking questions. Why was he there? Why was he speaking? It gives you a lot of privacy and lets you move around the world invisibly.
Yeah.
So we all know the comfort side and the convenience side, but I think from the security and the secrecy side, I think there's a lot to be said for moving about by private jet. And as you know, we do a lot with companies, and they all come in and Stansted and Luton, mm-hmm. and that kind of thing. And even if you know the tail numbers, you might know the tail number landed at Luton, but you don't know who was on board.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to be said for them, for keeping things private when you want to move discreetly.
Yeah.
And there's a lot more discretion to be had by moving by private jet.
Yeah, but as you were saying before, I mean, the whole keeping the crew safe, the crew aware about security, having the principal, with some security person with them at all times, hiring the local people. This is all the reason why they're using a private jet, is to save time. The last thing you want is for the principal to be kidnapped, or the flight attendant raped, or something like that go on with a member of the crew, which then does not allow the airplane to be dispatched for the next flight.
That's right. Yeah, they've got to be available, because a £50 million jet without a crew, it's a fashion accessory.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So the message, really core message here today, everybody, is think of the jet as a time machine. It will keep you safe, but you also have to think of the people that fly you around when they're staying in a hotel. Make sure they're staying in the right side of town, that they're safe as well as you being safe, because if they're not safe, you're not safe.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more.
Yeah. Okay, Bob, thank you very much for everything. And thank you, everybody, for listening and watching BizJet TV. And remember to subscribe, share this video, like this video, and I'll see you on the next one.